This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Kia ora, good evening. Welcome to the South Today. I'm Daryl Baser. Things are changing for New Zealand as this global pandemic continues to spread, and the South Today isn't immune to the issues facing the nation as we all band together to stop the spread of COVID-19. We at Allied Press thank you for your viewership and understanding at this time as New Zealand joins the rest of the world in doing everything possible to reduce the impacts of the deadly virus. At this afternoon's media announcement, the Director General of Health said 2 more people have died as a result of COVID-19, including a woman at Dunedin Hospital.
Sadly, today I have 2 further deaths to report as a result of COVID-19 infection. A patient has died who has been very unwell in intensive care in Dunedin Hospital with COVID-19 since 7th of April. She was in her 60s and had an underlying health condition. While her family had not been able to visit her over the past few weeks, arrangements were made for them to be with her last night as she passed away. The second death is a resident at Rosewood Rest Home in Christchurch. This man in his 70s passed away in the hospital level wing of that unit last night. He was not part of the group that had been transferred to Burwood Hospital. The man had an underlying condition, and while he had tested negative for COVID-19, he was considered a probable case based on his exposure and symptoms. And as I have said before, these probable cases are treated as if they are positive and managed in the same way, and we are including them in all our statistics, including our mortality statistics. My sympathies go out to the families of both of these people, and once again we are reminded of the serious threat that this infection poses to individuals and our communities.
Our thoughts are with the families of those who've passed. Stay tuned to Channel 39 to see today's full announcement. The government has also announced a suite of initiatives valued at $50 million to develop with the media industry to help them get through the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic has hit the media sector hard, with advertising revenues evaporating overnight as stores closed for the lockdown. Where some players have closed brands like NZME's Radio Sport, Allied Press has soldiered through, but the company's chief executive welcomes today's announcement. Broadcasting Minister Chris Farfoy announcing a $50 million bailout of New Zealand's media industry.
It's well known that New Zealand's media sector has been facing challenges well before COVID-19, but the disruption from COVID has compounded the difficulties with significant losses of advertising. Without government intervention, we risk losing the skills and range of perspectives which provide important independent news and information that New Zealanders rely on.
Allied Press is a South Island-owned media company with interests in daily and community newspapers, regional television stations, internet websites and commercial printing operations. The company's chief executive, Grant McKenzie, says the package will help.
We see there's a bit of benefit in the transmission cost savings, particularly for Channel 39, but we're waiting on further information about the Targeted Assistance Fund.
Within Minister Farfoy's announcement is a $20.5 million cut to Kordia's TV or FM transmission fees, and more than $16 million to reduce the amount of money media organisations have to pay to New Zealand On Air for content contributions. McKenzie says he's looking forward to reading through the fine print.
Well, we know about the transmission costs, obviously, and we know what those costs are. They're not that significant for us overall, but that will be a saving. The real devil in the detail will be in the Targeted Assistance Fund, and we're working through that process now with the Ministry of Culture and Heritage about what we might be eligible for, and the process that we'll need to go through to apply for those funds.
Minister Farfoy says there's also a contestable fund of more than $11 million for specific targeted assistance, which Grant McKenzie says is timely as the sector has been hit hard by COVID-19.
Well, look, we've had a significant drop in revenue in April. Obviously, we had to not publish a number of our community titles. We have started to bring back a number of community titles this week, and at this stage we don't know, how far they will bounce back. We hope that they'll bounce back to where they were pre-COVID. We've got some very, very strong community titles out there and really good, strong support in the community.
The Broadcasting Minister says this is the first phase of support for the media industry. In Dunedin, the South Today. A leading academic in the field of international relations says most world leaders are more aware than ever of the need for international cooperation. In this edition of Global Insight, Professor Robert Patman tells ODT's news feature writer Bruce Munro this crisis will shape the future of international relations.
Welcome, I'm Bruce Munro, and with me is International Relations Specialist Professor Robert Patman, and this is Global Insight. COVID-19 continues to ravage the world, but thoughts are turning to what the new normal will look like. Welcome, Robert.
Morning, Bruce.
We spoke last time about Gordon Brown's call for a temporary one world government to tackle the health and economic challenges of COVID-19. 2 weeks on, do you still think that is necessary?
Well, firstly, Bruce, Gordon Brown wasn't calling for a permanent world government. He was calling for a temporary authority which would act to maximise international cooperation to deal with the problem of COVID-19. Unfortunately, to date, that cooperation has been sadly lacking. And his suggestion was that we needed to start building bridges where there are none at the moment. Yes, I do think there needs to be more international cooperation. Clearly, we can't go back to November 2019 when COVID-19 was first detected, but we can try and learn lessons from COVID-19. What sort of lessons? Well, I think COVID-19 shown there's the absence of a global health infrastructure. Secondly, I think the international crisis management mechanisms of the international system have been shown to be deficient. And we've also, and this is a sobering lesson, we've also seen that in a number of countries, political leaders have been prepared to put their pride and their interests above the safety and the lives of their own citizens. And that is certainly the feeling in some countries such as the UK, the United States and Brazil.
You talk about resurgent national states or international cooperation. Is it an either or? Power corrupts, so would we not be better to have nation states that cooperate with each other?
Well, Bruce, you're absolutely right with your question. It's a false juxtaposition between international cooperation and states. What it is absolutely necessary for states is to embrace international cooperation. And unfortunately, a number of powerful states, such as the United States, Russia, China, and India, have continued in recent years to pretend they can solve global problems unilaterally. That is just not, that's a fantasy, and it's not realistic, and and COVID-19, I think, is a wake-up call that we have to come to terms with objective reality, a reality that a virus does not recognise boundaries.
So, nation-state protectionism or greater international cooperation? Which way do you see it tipping and how?
Well, I think COVID-19 has highlighted that nation states have a huge self-interest in expanding international cooperation. COVID-19 isn't the only global problem we're dealing with. Climate change is a slower global challenge, but potentially could have even greater consequences. The world had a chance to tackle the problem, Bruce, in the early 90s, but has lost that opportunity over the decades, blew the opportunity. And today, unfortunately, we live in an era in the 21st century where there's still a number of leaders who continue, and they're prominent leaders, Mr. Putin, Mr. Trump, etc., who continue to deny the reality of climate change. I think COVID-19 was a disruptive event which allows new perspectives and new approaches. And I think one of the things that COVID-19 will do will make much people much more sensitive to this other long-running global crisis which hasn't been tackled effectively, and that's climate change. And in a sense, I think COVID-19 has broken to some degree the mold of politics. Why? Because it's interesting that those countries such as South Korea, New Zealand, Germany and Singapore, those sort of countries, and Hong Kong, those countries which have taken science seriously, listened to international advice from the WHO and acted on it, have actually come out of this. They haven't got through the crisis yet, but they have performed relatively well. Those countries which have been suspicious and distrustful of international institutions and international advice from the WHO and have claimed they are exceptionalist, have exceptional national experience which will enable them to see out the crisis, they have performed very badly. And countries like the United States, United Kingdom and Brazil have disproportionately high death tolls, tragically, from COVID-19. So I think, in a sense, then, COVID-19 has opened the door to possibilities to tackling climate change. I think it will certainly sensitize citizens and decision makers that they can't simply put off this problem. And after all, not only does, I think, COVID-19 act as a catalyst to sensitize us to the dangers of a planet, of a problem which actually threatens the planet and life, whether life can survive on Earth, but it also provides a strategic opportunity for leaders. Recently, two former Secretaries of State, George Shultz and James Baker, made, I think, a very telling observation. They said whoever wins the race for developing clean energy will be decisive in shaping the politics of the 21st century. In short, they're saying, trying to build up your reserves of oil will not necessarily be the key to becoming a decisive player in the 21st century. So I think COVID-19 could well be a game changer, Bruce.
Thanks, Robert. And thank you for watching. Catch us next time on Global Insight. Ka kite anō.
When schools reopen next week, pupils across New Zealand will still be asked to stay home if possible. A school in Port Chalmers is loaning out iPads and Chromebooks for pupils to continue their education at home.
Port Chalmers School is still going to be out of bounds for 7-year-old Macy Cameron, even after the country goes down to level 3. Children are being asked to stay at home if there is someone to look after them. Like many schools, Port Chalmers has loaned out iPads and Chromebooks to help those staying away from school.
We really early on realised as a school community that there were some of our families that weren't able to connect to any online learning, whether that was because they didn't have the internet or they didn't have devices. And there also were families that have one device, mum and or dad needs that for work, other kids in the family need it for connecting in. So we have sent out about 35 devices.
Port Chalmers School places emphasis on maintaining relationships and connections. Pupils in years 1 to 4 are being loaned iPads, and it's the more sophisticated Chromebooks for years 5 to 8.
So we've got little 5-year-olds joining a Zoom lesson today with their teacher. I'm sure there'll be issues around all of that, but that's kind of what we're trying to do with the iPads and the Chromebooks, is do the connecting.
We use the iPad for reading books and doing math.
Nichols says it's been a shift in education that teachers across New Zealand are having to adapt to.
We're managing fine. It's been a pretty steep learning curve, and we've all learned a whole lot of new things. Who knew that we could have so many Zoom meetings in one day? It's been a challenge. We talk about all of our people at our place are learners, and that includes the grown-ups.
In Dunedin, the South Today.
In today's edition of Rugby Chat, Paul Dwyer chats with a couple of Irish imports and does some press-ups for a good cause.
Welcome to ODT Rugby Chat for another week, sponsored by Garrett Orr from Cockra Valley. My old mate Gerald Orr over there. Get over there and buy, as soon as he's out of lockdown, get over there and buy a big garage door off him. Look, I'm running out of things to talk about on Rugby Chat because there is no rugby, but I found a couple of young Irish boys to have a chat with today. So I've got Jack Regan. Jack's playing for the Sharks, and I've got Alan Benny, and Alan is playing for the Harbour Hawks. So welcome, boys. Welcome to Rugby Chat. This will be your first experience of Rugby Chat. So look, Jack, mate, we'll start with you. What the hell are you doing in Dunedin? There's no rugby.
No rugby, Paul. No, but I got a. So I was with a club over in Ireland. I was at Ulster, and I got a text off Bronson Ross, and he was like, "Hey, like, there's an opportunity over, like over here. Would you like to come over?" And I just grabbed the opportunity, and I landed here, and I think I did one training session, and then that was it. I've been in lockdown ever since, so it hasn't been an ideal beginning, but it is what it is,
Right, mate. Look, we'll come back because I want to talk to you about what you're doing, how you're doing, and your background, and over in at Ulster. So, but Alan, mate, I'll bring you in. Tell me through what the hell are you doing here? And again, there's no rugby at Harbour either, and there'll probably never be rugby there again, by the way.
Yeah, so I'm much the same situation as Jack. I was kind of in between thinking about what to do and kind of talked to a few people, and they're like, "Oh, you should go have a crack at New Zealand to try and play down there." And so I kind of started exploring and kind of looking at Auckland, Canterbury and stuff, because a lot of Irish guys have come out and played out there. It's kind of a thing that a lot of guys have done either after school or to come and try and play Mitre 10 and stuff. So I'm much the same as Jack. I arrived down, talked to Ryan, the coach at Harbour, kind of liked what they were about. Went down. I managed to get 20 minutes against Southern. The Saturday I was off the plane. I think I got here 5 days before Jack. Then I managed to get about 40 against Kaikroy. I managed to get 40 minutes against them, and then literally I think the Tuesday after we were told no more training. So I managed to get 2 games under the belt, both pre-season. No man of the match performances, but that's kind of how I ended up here, and now we've been locked down ever since.
So mate, are you living in a car? I see you're actually doing this from a car. Is that how tough things are at Harbour this year? Lance has got no money. You got to live in a car.
I'll tell you who the car is. But no, not at all. So I'm actually an essential worker at the moment. So Harbour managed to set me up with a nice job at Gallagher's here, where I've been working away during the quarantine 2 days a week. So providing essential services for the farms of New Zealand, so no problem.
Okay, mate. Look, I'll bring Jack back in. So Jack, let's talk through your background. Your background. I mean, you're an Ulster boy, and I understand. As I was doing an interview with Daniel Soper, an ex-Shark, on Monday night. So talk me through what you've been doing over there and why you actually came to New Zealand. Have you got aspirations of playing for Otago? So talk me through your background and your aspirations.
Well, actually, I'm not actually an Ulster boy. I'm originally from down, Ireland. I'm actually from Leinster. So I played all the way up with Leinster, and then I played Irish 20s, and then there was an opportunity up in Ulster. So I went up there, and I've been up there for the last 3 years. And then I was coming to the end of my contract, and I didn't really know what I was going to do. And then, Bronson got onto me, and he was like, "There's an opportunity over, over in the Otago area, in the lock position." So, yeah, I just thought I'd chance my arm.
Come and have a crack. So you've got aspirations to, if we can get rugby up and running, which I think we will. I think we'll be up and running by July. So have you got aspirations that you hopefully want to make that Otago team this year?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Otago team is obviously the goal. I'm not, I presumed I'd be straight into a bit of club rugby, and that was the goal was just to play well in the club games and then impress the Otago coaches, and then hopefully take on from there. Otago is the goal at the minute. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so Alan, mate, we'll bring you back over in your car. So Alan, what are your goals? I mean, talk me through your background and what are your goals while you're here in Dunedin?
Yeah, I kind of know Jack from back home. We spent a brief bit of time up in Ulster together. And I was the same. I was playing for a club in Dublin called Lansdowne. And then I was actually meant to go across to the States to that new league there, but I ended up hurting my shoulder. So I was kind of in between for a while doing my rehab, and then this kind of came about. So I'm much the same as Jack, where I was kind of talking to a few people, kind of looking at a few Mitre 10 squads. You know, I'm a halfback myself, so I was kind of looking, okay, where were there a few opportunities? So I ended up just emailing a couple coaches, and they said much the same as Jack. They kind of said, you know, if you play club rugby and you play well, there's a really good opportunity to try and make a Mitre 10 Cup team. So I just kind of settled on Dunedin. I kind of, as I say, found a club here, thought, okay, try and have a crack at here. They've got a couple good halfbacks here, and you know, as you say, Mitre 10 squad. It's great that you can kind of play your way into it. Might change a little bit now. We have a massive pack at Harbour, so I was really enjoying playing behind that and just coasting through. So my job isn't going to be made as easy now. But yeah, that's much the same as Jack. You know, it's going to be a bit of a different scenario now that you can't actually play to get in the squad. So I'm not sure what's going to happen that way.
Yeah, mate, look, boys, it'll be interesting because, you know, I've been talking about this for the last couple of weeks, and I've actually got a club rugby group of clubs meeting tonight where we're going to try and talk about what happens under level 2, what does level 2 look like, can we play some code, and then or do we have to wait for level 1? And things are a wee bit uncertain as to what's going to go on there. Look, we're still reasonably confident that we could be playing club rugby by the start of July. And there'll have to be social distancing and perhaps whether club rooms are open or not. There's all those things to work through, but I still think we can do this, and then hopefully that Super 15 will be being played at the same time, and then possibly NPC could be probably played after that. So let's talk about. So look, Jack, we'll bring you back in, mate. So what are you actually doing? So I know you were flatting with one of the Dunedin boys up the hill there somewhere. So talk me through that, and are you doing any training? What actually are you doing apart from you and Jamie Moe basically doing absolutely nothing?
Yeah, no, I'm thankfully I'm in the house with Jamie and Biggs Pepper. The house is unbelievable. You know, like I drove up here.
Well, he built this house, mate. So is he actually a reasonable builder?
No. He built the house himself, which is impressive as like. But no, I've been just, to be honest with you, I haven't really been doing too much other than, you know, like I'm only around the corner here from Zingaree, like, so I go up, you know, like every day and I do a bit of training up, you know, like up there, like. But other than that, like I've been eating the house down. You know, like I've been in pack and save every day, like I've been up and down, but. You know, like other than that, I haven't really been doing too much. Like I've been doing a bit of like Pilates and like yoga and that, but it's
right. It's pretty tough. It's pretty tough. So, mate, don't do too much training at Zingaree. They'll try and sign you up. I wouldn't trust those Zingaree boys as far as I could throw them. So, mate, financially, how are you surviving?
Financially, I'm okay. So I'm actually getting paid by Ulster till the end of June or July, so like I'm okay there, and you know, like I actually,
because Dunedin won't be paying you any money. Dunedin won't be paying you any money. They've got no money. Alan will be in a completely different situation because Lance Abramovich has got so much money, he'll be getting paid massive amounts of money. So financially at this stage, you're still okay?
Yeah, I'm sweet. I've got no complaints, so I'm all good at the minute. Yeah.
Right, I'll bring the migrant back in the car. So Alan, mate, same thing for you. You're obviously working a couple of days a week, but you know, how's training going for you? Can you do any? And are you surviving financially?
Yeah. So one of the guys I'm living with from Harbour is Ewan Drummel, who is.
Oh yeah, he's the midfield back. Yep.
But he works for Tago as an S&C coach, so he's actually been very helpful to kind of keep us going. You know, we've been doing a couple of different sessions. He's been, I think, using us as a bit of guinea pigs with a few things. We managed to get a few weights in the house and stuff, so we've been kind of out the back doing a bit of that kind of thing. And we've been actually down at Chalk Park doing a bit of our running. Nobody's actually trying to sign us up yet, so I've just been hanging around waiting.
Yeah, look, Dunedin have got more morals. Dunedin have got a lot more morals than Zingaree and Harbour. We wouldn't, if you're already committed to a club, we wouldn't be trying to sign you up.
That's fair enough. So I'll just use your pitch for running, so we'll say no more.
Right.
But yeah, no, just been down the pitch doing a bit of running and stuff, and obviously we've got the St. Clair beach, so trying to get out and walk, and then much the same as Jack, just trying to eat healthy. It's been great not having any takeaways, and then yeah, just I think missing a few takeaway coffees and stuff, but for the most part, kind of surviving that way. Financially, obviously, I was able to start this job. I think I started a week before the lockdown. Then we had a period where we weren't working, and I wasn't really sure what was going to happen. And then obviously we kind of became an essential service. So that's been great for me because one, it gets you out the house 2 days a week, but then it also keeps you, financially taken over, which is brilliant.
Okay, so boys, I'm going to get you to do some judging. Look, I talked last week on the show that we've got a challenge that's gone out from Pete Merrilees, who's now with Green Island, who was previously with Harbour. And I hear it's a bit of a dud because the only people that are actually doing all these press-ups are mainly the boys from Harbour and the boys from Green Island. And I said, if we got a lot more people to do it, I'd do these 625 press-ups over a 7-month period. But a mate of mine up north, Angian, who lives in Waikanae, has been on my case. So for the last few days, lads, you'll be impressed to know that I've been doing just about 100 press-ups a day for the last 4 or 5 days. I think I've done 620, so I've got 5 today. If I've got 5 to go, so I promised Angian I'd actually do the last 5. And I'll struggle to do this. I'll do the last 5 and we'll put this on the show. So I'll just get up and do this now, get this out of the way, and then we'll just quickly finish off. So just give me a few seconds, boys, while I get these done. And I'd better make sure I've still got my microphone in my hand. So 5 to go, 620, 621, 622, 623, 624, 625. They went bad, lads.
Yeah. It shows you've been doing those 100 a day.
Yeah. Well, it's 100. I think my maths have never been that good, but I'm going on 100 a day.
And now time for a look at the weather.
Tonight's weather proudly brought to you by MoleMap.
Beginning with the situation, a westerly airflow is still the main driver of weather for southern districts as fronts and troughs roll in from the South Tasman Sea, bringing cloud and showers to western and southern coasts, but it'll be mostly fine inland. In the southern towns, the Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore all have moderate westerlies and cloud increasing. The Catlins and Balclutha head for 15 degrees, while Lumsden and Gore should reach 14. Heading over to the Central Lakes, Wanaka and Alexandra are heading for moderate westerlies, some high cloud and 16 degrees. Queenstown is similar but 1 degree cooler on 15. While Siano can expect fresh northwesterlies, rain later and 14 degrees. In the northern towns, Timaru and Oamaru are due for light northeasterlies, some high cloud. Timaru aims for 17 and Oamaru 15 degrees. While inland, Twizel and Omarama are both in line for light winds, high cloud and 17 degrees. In Dunedin, there should be northwesterly winds tonight with high cloud and an overnight low of 8 degrees. Expect high cloud and mild northerly winds tomorrow morning, but a southerly change is set to hit during the afternoon. Expect a high of 14 and a low of 11. There'll be a few light showers on Saturday morning with mostly cloudy skies. A high of 12 and a low of 10 degrees. And heading to Invercargill, it should be becoming fine tonight with an overnight low of 9 degrees. Expect sunny periods at first tomorrow, but cloud increases and westerly winds freshen. Expect rain tomorrow night with fresh gusty northeasterlies. A high of 14 and a low of 11 degrees. Showers clearing on Saturday with sunny periods increasing during the day. Expect a high of 13 and a low of 9. And that's all from the South Today team for this Thursday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to odt.co.nz and follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Stay tuned to Channel 39 for the latest COVID-19 updates from the government. Stay calm during the pandemic, and as the Prime Minister says, be kind. Ka kite a popo. See you tomorrow.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.